A deck face off against the powerful Giratina V-Star. We'll see if Regan can pull things off here in our first Swiss round of the day. Swiss round 13. Regan Retzloff is going to start us off here with that Qianpao EX.
Now, some very interesting things in both players' lists. So Regan decided to respect Mew VMAX quite a lot and is playing a copy of Spiritomb in their deck. So is Ian Robb, which is very interesting to see. But the one key piece missing for Regan, I think, is Manaphy. That could allow Ian to really threaten those Frigibacks before they can evolve. So we might even see Regan try to play 3 Frigibacks down because he doesn't have access to that Manaphy. But on the other hand, we did just see that Ian prized his Radiant Greninja. So it'll be interesting to see how this dynamic plays out as we see Regan getting that Radiant Greninja, get a little bit of extra draw with the energies that Shivery Chill just fetched, and looking to establish at least one Frigivax to start off.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to have to see what route Ian Robb chooses to go after getting a good look at the deck and, of course, the current hand as well. Regan Retzloff jumped into the deck there with that Shivery Chill ability to start us off with the Qianpao EX. What you commonly see here, just to go straight in the deck, get a look at things, draw into those energy. We saw the concealed cards already from the Radiant Greninja. What else do you see in Pablo?
So many Ultra Balls in Regan's hand. I believe that's 3, and then the Earthen Vessel. So a lot of resources, but also a lot of discard for Regan, which you can't necessarily afford like really, really early. But going first is a pretty big deal. Establishing Bidoof, establishing Frigibacks, that sets you up very nicely. And the multiple Ultra Balls do allow you to guarantee that B-Barrel next turn. So off to the races for Regan. You could only ask for a Battle VIP pass. That's the one big card that he's missing, but that's pretty much it.
Kind of making up the slack there, still getting some Pokemon out. But yeah, there's several evolution lines in this deck, so Regan is going to have to establish these Pokemon on the bench so that they can be evolved into as soon as possible here. So we really haven't seen much of Qianpao. How would you kind of describe the deck as a whole as far as playstyle, Pablo, and how it's going to function going up against Giratina V-Star?
Oh, well, Qianpao is definitely like a glass cannon, if you will. Like, it just tries to deal, well, it deals infinite damage, essentially, but it's also very frail and susceptible to the Baxcalibur going down or to your hand being Ionoed away and the B-Barrel getting knocked out. So it's a very high-risk, high-reward surf deck, whereas Giratina on the other side can be very stable, right? It has a lot of options. It tries to build up the hand, build up the loss zone, and it's on Ian to disrupt Regan's game plan right here. Have high HP Pokemon to take down the Qianpao, have disruption on the bench on those B-Barrels with Sableye. So we're going to see an interesting dynamic, especially because Ian is playing Avery.
Yeah, definitely getting some Pokemon off of the bench potentially there down the line for Regan. Over here on Ian Robb's side of the field, starting off the first turn with that Battle VIP pass, getting a Giratina V and that Cramorant out as soon as possible here for Ian, and also got a good look at the deck. Notated some prize cards there as well, and we're still going through this turn. That's exactly what you want to see, a Colress's Experiment here for Ian Robb, something that's eluded so many of our Giratina players this weekend, but Ian Robb found it. So we're going to see 5 cards, 2 of them now in the loss zone there for Ian Robb, and another one off of Flower Selecting. I like the pace, Pablo.
Yeah,
I like it.
I was exactly going to mention that. Ian, you can tell that he's really well versed in the deck. He knows his moves, and he's playing at probably the fastest pace we've seen from a Giratina player, which is really cool to see now. Unfortunately, his hand not that fantastic, and I was definitely surprised at the Cramorant choice instead of a second Comfey right there, but perhaps trying to not be so susceptible to the Radiant Greninja here.
Yeah, potentially. Regan Retzloff going to start this turn too by evolving into that B-Barrel now, so has access to that Industrious Incisors there throughout the turn. Of course, going to have to dwindle down the hand a little bit here, deciding what to play next, eyeing up the Irida, but just choosing how this sequencing is going to go. What is going to be chosen off the Irida, of course, gets you a water Pokemon as well as an item card for Regan.
Yeah, Rare Candy into Excalibur. Usually the choices if you're missing those 2 pieces, and then with the Earthen Vessel, despite the Path to Peak, will be able to threaten this Comfey now. Of course, Regan would love to take down the Giratina V this turn, but that's going to require quite a few pieces. Double Cross Switcher, 4 total energy, so that one's probably off the table for now.
Yeah, maybe too much of a hill to climb here, but still establishing the bench here on Regan's side of things. So it's looking pretty good. Earthen Vessel is going to discard that Super Rod there to get these energy out of the deck, and they're going to be accelerated immediately with some super cold action here, Pablo, onto that Chien-Pao EX in the active position. Baxcalibur is pretty much the backbone of this deck with that energy acceleration ability.
Yeah, without Baxcalibur, Chien-Pao is basically a cute kitty to stare at. But when there's a Baxcalibur, Chien-Pao actually becomes the threat it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Now, that Super discard that you mentioned, Boo, is actually very important because one way to beat Baxcalibur is by taking down the Baxcalibur over and over. And with one Super Rod gone, you won't necessarily be able to recuperate them too quickly, as we see the first KO from Chien-Pao.
Yup, Chien-Pao with that Hail Blade attack. Going to take the first KO there. But yeah, as you said, Pablo, definitely throwing away some recovery resources that potentially could bite Regan later in this game. Like that Chien-Pao's bite right there. But Ian Robb's side of the field. Now we're stacking up this Lost Zone here with another Colress's Experiment. You love to see this. You want those consistent Colress's Experiment every single turn. Stack up your Lost Zone, get grinding with these cards, get options in your hands, and just have what you need. But Cramorant's going to get some early damage in here now as Ian Robb continues to establish the board state with those 2 energy now on the Giratina V. So it's 110 damage there on that Chien-Pao EX, and we're back over to Regan.
Yeah, now despite seeing Battle VIP pass start back-to-back Colress for Ian, not a lot of board presence, no extra Comfey, no threat of Giratina V start anytime soon. There's no backup Giratina V, so if Regan was able to find KO on the Giratina V right now, that would put Ian in a lot of trouble because despite the Cramorant being able to take a return KO, you need much bigger threats. You need back-to-back KOs on Chien-Pao. 2-hit KOing them is not going to be enough.
Yup, and Regan over here on this side, a smooth Ultra Ball, quick discard of 2 Battle VIP passes. Useless cards for Regan as of now, and it's going to search out that Spiritomb from the deck for Regan, thinning that out of the deck.
Yeah, another useless card in this matchup that will probably be discard fodder for that superior energy retrieval, keeping the cross switcher in hand to potentially take down that Giratina V on the bench.
Yup, and here we go. We see that superior energy retrieval. You have to discard those 2 cards, but all of these energy are able to be taken out of your discard pile straight into your hand and re-accelerated to the field with that Baxcalibur. What'd you see, Pablo?
The double cross switcher is found, but Regan is 1 energy away from being able to take down that Giratina, as he does have to retreat. You can see him thinking about how to go about this. He could spend another superior energy retrieval, but that might be a little too much at this point in time. And yeah, if he had found a Pokestop, then he could have Shiver Chilled for 2 more energies, and we'd be talking about the KO right here.
Oh, just missing it. I don't know. Regan looks like debating some plays here, but this Irida is going to come down for Regan.
Yeah, the issue is the Earthen Vessel is also down, so he can't use that to get extra energies. You can't Irida for a Pokestop, as it is not an item card, it is a stadium. So, I mean, you definitely can't complain in this spot by Regan.
Yeah, so strong presence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Regan's board compared to Ian's board is a world of difference, right? But what better way to continue building an advantage than taking down the 1 threatening Pokemon that Ian has?
Yeah, that would be brutal, honestly. So, we're just getting through this Irida now for Regan.
That Battle VIP pass could be an indication that Regan's going to spend that superior energy retrieval for just 1 energy to be able to reach for this knockout, which is very good, right? But also very, very costly.
You think it's risky?
Yeah,
Too many resources? I don't know, but I mean, it's super aggro, the path that Regan is choosing to follow, if that is going to be the course of action here for Regan to take this, but we'll have to see.
There we go.
Cross switcher.
Retreat, and then superior energy retrieval for a single energy, just to make sure you can get this KO.
Oh my gosh, Regan Retzloff. All gas, no brakes here against Ian Robb. Going off here, choosing to utilize these later game cards, sacrificing these resources in maybe not the most optimal way, but it's going to take a lead in this game. Ian Robb already responding there,
Yeah, the Cramorant decides to take revenge, take down that Chen Pao, and not a lot of targets for Regan to take down with Radiant Greninja. Pulling off another double cross switcher to take down this Giratina V will be very difficult now that two have been exhausted. But as Regan, right, as long as you knock out this Cramorant and you establish your board well enough to then knock out that Giratina V whenever it comes up, you're going to be in a fine position. And you just saw Ian quite literally do nothing. Bench a Pokemon, attach, and attack. So that alone tells you there's no Colress in hand. There's no Comphase at all. There's not a lot of good cards in Ian's hand, so you're okay in this spot if you're Regan.
Exactly. It's not coming down to play here, unfortunately. I mean, Ian Robb is a 5-time regional champion. It has nothing to do with a lack of skill. It is a lack of correct cards that you're drawing into. Pablo, the disrespect is so warranted this weekend. Is it us? Are we the unlucky charm here?
I mean, maybe it's our fault that Giratina is just not really performing to the standard that we've seen it perform, right? Giratina won the regional that concluded in Melbourne a few hours ago, and we are seeing it here just continually not really perform.
Yes. I guess Giratina V-Star is not from North America, apparently. All right, Regan getting through this turn here. Looked like maybe a confusing sequence of cards there, but everything's all good between these players. Looks like Concealed Cards was already used as well to draw into 2 additional cards there off of that Radiant Greninja.
Yeah, a lot of abilities used, that Industrious Incisors, the Concealed Cards. I wonder if Regan's going to try and knock out with Chen Pao. Could also try Excalibur. That's probably a little too risky. I mean, does have the Irida, so could set up a second one. I think that's what he's eyeing up on. Maybe that's better than letting your 2-prize Chen Pao take the hit, assuming Ian can take a return KO. So this is very important. Despite the fact that Ian didn't do much during their previous turn, you always need to try to prepare for the worst, right? You have to expect the worst from your opponent, and if that happens, that's fine because you prepared for it. But if the worst doesn't happen, then you're in an even better spot than you would have.
Yeah, you want to go aggro, but not too aggro. You still have to limit your liabilities that you're throwing forth to your opponent as well. I totally agree, Pablo. So that Irida is going to get us another cross switcher for the item of choice and that Excalibur as well now.
Yeah, very interested in that cross switcher. I don't think... Oh, there was already a rare candy. That's why.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah,
we're good.
I was wondering. Yeah, so does have the Canceling Cologne, does have the cross switcher, rare candy by Excalibur, and if we see another... No second cross switcher.
No second cross switcher. Just going to net a Nest Ball there off of that Pokestop. All non-item cards going to the discard pile there. Going to be an Irida and a Water Energy now to the discard pile. This is what this deck does. All these water energies go into the discard pile. You retrieve them back out. You re-accelerate them, and you get those knockouts that you need. But as we've said earlier, Regan has used a lot of late-game resources, but we are still going here, and there's plenty left for Regan. At this point in time, just 3 more prize cards left to take here for a win in this Game 1. Superior Energy Retrieval, going to discard those 2 cards there to get these 4 water energy back into the hand here.
Yeah, now that is the 3rd Superior Energy Retrieval, which, as you were mentioning, the resource is so valuable, and that means there's only 1 left after this. So I'm really wondering if the 3rd Chen Pao might be priced. Otherwise, you would definitely want to see Regan play that Nest Ball and fetch that 3rd Chen Pao. Leave that on the bench in case the active gets knocked out, and all you need to do is take down the Giratina V-Star.
I feel like I don't remember what being in the prize cards, but I don't know. My memory's pretty bad as well.
I'm sure we'll find out right now. Yeah, it's not prized.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying.
I'm very surprised Regan chose not to play that Nest Ball to just establish the other Chen Pao.
Interesting choices there from Regan, but still going to get a knockout there on that Cramorant, bringing Regan Retzloff here down to 2 prize cards left to take home this Game 1 against Ian Robb. Ian Robb, just a lone Manaphy up there in the active position as of now, and that benched Giratina V with the Psychic Energy attached, still Lost Zone is at 5 for what now, 3 turns? I think this is the 3rd turn here. Ian Robb has essentially done nothing for this board state besides attack with Cramorant.
Yeah, in this spot, usually as Ian, you want to go Roxanne, Sableye, knockout P-Barrel to really try and make Regan whiff a lot of turns. But with 5 cards in a Lost Zone, that's quite literally impossible. So we're going to see a Colress. The Regan Greninja is now accessible now. This does activate Mirage-Gate, but responding to the Chien-Pao, and then what?
Yes, and then what, Pablo? That's what I'm wondering as well. Ian Robb is going to conclude that Colress there. Lost Zone is now up to 7. Giratina V-Star on the board here.
Yep, does he have access to a Mirage Gate? I'm assuming he does. He does have a pretty big hand, right? So
I
he
know.
can do stuff, but yeah.
Is the stuff hopeful? I don't know. We need some stuff happening here, Pablo, that's for sure.
No.
That's what's so surprising, too, like how little has happened so far, because Ian Robb does, he has had a hand.
Yeah, he started with the Battle VIP Pass, started with the back-to-back Colress, but his hand just filled up with energies, and the Regan Greninja was prized, so couldn't do much. And now, I do believe Regan is holding game in hand. He has an energy in hand, he has a superior energy retrieval in hand, that's 5 energy total, and has the Nestball to just go after the Chien-Pao. So I think we're about to head into a game 2 after we see this attack.
Most likely, yeah. The support of her turn was Colress's Experiment. No disruption to Regan's hand here.
Nestball for Chien-Pao, superior energy retrieval. So yeah, I'm really wondering
the motions.
What the logic is behind not using the Nestball preemptively last turn. I would love to ask Regan that, because there has to be a reason. Like, he knows what's about to happen. He knows the Giratina's coming up. So why not have that established in case your opponent decides to go Roxanne? I mean, maybe he figured if my opponent plays Roxanne, then my Chien-Pao is definitely not getting KO'd because they're not going to get to 7. But there's a universe where Ian could have drawn double Comfey, get to Flower Selects going, get to 7, and take the KO. So I'm really puzzled by that one right now.
Well, maybe if Regan Retzloff makes it to our winner interview, we can ask that question, Pablo. And I'll tell you what, he's one step closer to getting there, taking our game 1 here in our Swiss round 13 versus Ian Robb. Once again, Giratina V-Star just falters on our stream. Not strong enough, not even able to take down Chien-Pao EX.
Yeah, as we saw Regan start off with a picture-perfect setup on his board, going after the first Comfey, going after Giratina V, and deciding that using up your superior energy retrieval for a single energy was completely worth it, and it definitely paid off.
Yeah, very aggro play here from Regan Retzloff, sacrificing some cards just to put at Ian Robb at as much of a disadvantage as possible. Ian Robb tried to save things, getting that Lost Zone stacked up, taking some knocks here and there, but Regan Retzloff was able to take this game 1 with game in hand. No disruption from Ian Robb there, and we're going to head into a game 2 between these players. If you're tuned into our stream right now, who are you rooting on here? Which player, which deck? We'd love to hear that from you. Is Ian Robb going to be able to save this second game, bring us to a 1-1, a third game potentially? Let's check out the prize cards. Hopefully nothing too bad.
The superior energy retrieval for Regan is like the big highlight card. There are 3 energies for Ian Robb as well as 2 for Regan. So both players with a little bit of an energy drought. And interesting that Ian lets Regan. Oh no, Ian
already completed the turn,
Ian played down a path and passed.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're jumping into our game 2 here. Ian Robb played down a path to the peak. That was it. Pass to Regan. Regan's going to bump that stadium immediately with a Pokestop, starting with the Spiritomb in the active that now has an energy attached. So there's another energy on board that could get discarded, but wow. First turn already completed on Ian Robb's side. That is not what you want to see at all.
No attachment, no Battle VIP Pass, no Nestball. Now essentially playing with 56 cards with a 4 Battle VIP Pass in there being useless. I mean, I haven't seen Ian's hand. I hope there's a Colress at least there that finds him an energy so that he can start building up the Lost Zone. But looking a little hopeless for Ian with this start. I mean, Regan, definitely not the greatest start compared to the previous game. It's this Pokestop is going to be huge for Regan. Can it find him a Battle VIP pass, more Nest Balls, which he does have 4 copies of each of those. So that's what Regan really needs to rely on to be able to accomplish anything significant this turn.
Well, Ultra Ball there going to start us off here after that Shivery Chill ability to get those water energy out on the board too. One of them being discarded, as well as a cross switcher going down to the Ultra Ball to get this Radiant Greninja out on the field for Regan. Some extra draw support there as well.
Yeah, now this Radiant Greninja, I really like that decision. That will provide Regan with 2 extra cards and will make the dig essentially into the deck 5 cards deep, 2 from concealed cards, 3 from Pokestop. And the big deal is he saw that Ian basically did nothing during their turn. So they should be feeling a little safer in the fact that if they don't establish a Frigibax, that's
my
hurtful.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's definitely hurtful, but I think it's okay. All right, in the grand scheme of things, I think it's okay because Regan knows that Ian didn't do much during your turn, so essentially they had a free turn where they don't need to be aggressive immediately.
Yep. Yeah, so losing some resources there. None of them were items off the Pokestop. Passing back over to Ian Robb. Ian Robb at least now is able to play a Colress's Experiment being on the 2nd turn, but as you said, Pablo, all of those 4 copies of Battle VIP Pass are now essentially useless. They are Lost Zone fodder at this point in time. 2 cards now in the Lost Zone off that Colress's Experiment. Hopefully Ian Robb can get things going here with establishing this board state now on turn 2. So a little bit behind here, but hopefully can save things. Going to be an Abyss Seeking here from Ian Robb. 2 more cards going to go to Lost Zone there, and 2 more to hand. So some extra draw support. And now we're at 4 in the Lost Zone. Things are going along here in this matchup. Regan now looking through the discard pile here. Going to kick off this turn 2.
Big draw there for Regan with that Iono top deck. That's going to let him get a free new 6 cards. Disrupt Ian a little bit, which after Colress and the Abyss Seeking has built up quite a significant hand. And this will allow Regan to have like this sort of reset. So Ian had a pretty bad turn 1. Regan also had a pretty bad turn 1. So it's almost like we can forget about those turns. Ian just had a very good turn.
They cancel each other out.
Yeah, exactly. They cancel each other out, just like that canceling clone. I beat you to the pun. And we're going to see a more hopefully stable turn. But Regan is relying on the randomness of these 6 cards.
That is very true, Pablo. You never know what's going to happen here. Super Rod can be played here for Regan and shuffling up the deck once again.
Yeah, that Frigibax that got discarded off that Pokestop back into the deck, because now Regan definitely wants to establish 2 Frigibax ideally.
Yeah.
Maybe even 3 because
you need some fail safes.
Yeah, exactly. And now because there's no mana fee, Ian, there is a world where he could be able to get to 7 cards in the Lost Zone and then be able to target down double Frigibax with Greninja of some sort.
Ooh, we'll have to see how things go here. That Iono has now been played, so both of these hands are now new cards, 6 new cards, and both players' hands at the bottom of their deck. 2 Frigibax coming down here for Regan. It's exactly what we wanted to see, as well as a Bidoof.
Yeah, 2 Frigibax, but they are susceptible, right? They are potentially, they can be potentially targeted by Radiant Greninja. Ian is holding a Colress and a Water Energy in their hand, but unfortunately they only play 2 Water Energy. So this Water Energy that's right here could be the one thing that prevents Ian from taking a knockout on the 2 Frigibaxes, which would essentially be game, with no Frigibax.
Yeah.
We've said, Chenpao's just a cute little kitty, and that's it.
Cute little kitty indeed. It can search out the energy, but it can't put them on.
It just stares at them longingly.
Yes, right. Absolutely. Yeah, you might be right about that, Pablo. The Frigibax, as of now, they're just babies. They're just babies. But if Ian Robb is not able to capitalize on that and take them down off of the bench, we could see this game going on further. Wow, easy decision there. 2 Battle VIP Pass off that Colress's Experiment. Joining the Lost Zone, bringing us up to 6 now for Ian Robb. Yeah. And we'll have to see what these cards are off the Iono that we had. Or is he working with some good cards here, Pablo?
I mean, I think so, but getting to 7 cards in the lost zone and pulling off that Regan Greninja play, which would essentially be game ending, I don't think it's going to be possible. So Ian might have to rely on another Abyss Seeking to keep building that that lost zone, and then it's not going to be great because Ian might end up giving up 2 prize cards here to that Chien-Pao's. Regan has also now built up a really big hand, and the one thing you know when you're playing against Giratina V-Star decks is that it's very unlikely that they shuffle away your hand, right? So you can feel pretty safe with the cards that you have access to.
Yeah, and it's just a tough thing I see with Giratina V-Star so often. It's like they have so much potential, so much power, but it just always seems like the cards don't fall in the correct way, and it gets clunky, and then you're not able to establish those powerful moves. But Ian Robb still going along here. That Radiant Greninja, concealed cards. Path to the Peak is now in play as well, and an energy attachment onto that Giratina V.
And now Ian's going to get to 8 cards in the lost zone, but Regan just barely will be able to evolve at least one of those Frigibacks to not be susceptible to the Greninja. Wow, this definitely could have been a big turn for Ian, but just not finding the right combination of cards, which I feel like has been the story for Giratina V-Star since yesterday.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So unfortunate to see, but we're still getting into this game. Regan Retzloff with another Irida here. Going to get out that Vax Caliber as well as an item card and be able to protect those little babies on the bench.
I think now the big difference that we're seeing from the previous game is like both players have a lot of resources left still. Even if Regan is able to take down this Giratina V this turn, now Ian has a really nice lost zone built up. And at some point, I'm sure we're going to see, if the cards allow it, a Sableye Snipe on this Bibarel combined with a Roxanne. That's like Ian's dream to be able to accomplish, and that combined with a Path to a Peak, shutting down the Radiant Greninja, it really puts a halt on Chien-Pao's plan, no matter what they're trying to do.
Absolutely, that is very true here, Pablo. Giratina V-Star, as soon as you get to that 10 in the lost zone, you unlock the true power of this deck, and that's all Ian is about to come up on here. Then Regan Retzloff is truly going to be hoping that things continue to not go Ian's way, but there's a lot more pressure there once that lost zone is at 10 for Regan Retzloff. So Chien-Pao going to get that energy in the active position here. We're going to see that superior energy retrieval, discarding a Battle VIP as well as a Nest Ball for Regan, and it's going to be re-accelerated straight away to the board for Regan with that super cold. Industrious Incisors going to get a little bit more card draw here for Regan.
Pokestop could be big as it does activate Shiver Chill, allows Regan to find more energies, but that would be, I believe, Regan's 3rd Pokestop. He played one, lost one with the first Pokestop. This is the 3rd one, so Ian's incoming Path to a Peak eventually will probably stick around for a long time.
Yep, kind of knowing, all right, once this gets bumped, it's gone. His Shivery Chill is going to get those energy out. Now, though, thanks to the bump of that Pokestop, taking the Path to the Peak out of play here. It's going to be even more energy. You can tell Regan is preparing this board state right now for these upcoming turns, just preparing as much as possible for the reign that Giratina V-Star can potentially have.
Wow, very nice Pokestop right there.
That is wicked here. All 3 items off the Pokestop. We're going to see the discard as well for that concealed cards. Now that the Path to the Peak is out of play, Regan Retzloff has built up a giant hand here. And as you said before, Pablo, like you're not expecting the Giratina V-Star to disrupt you either. At all. Yep. 2 prize cards that Chien-Pao able to take down that Giratina V. Never even got to evolve there on Ian Robb's side of the field. Now it's up to Ian Robb to promote a Pokemon and get this next turn underway. Now that one of those Giratina V have been wiped out, but I guess now that Water Energy is in the discard pile.
Now, we've talked a lot about the 2-2-2 prize map this weekend, Boo, and Regan just got the first 2 prizes. Ian's only viable attacker at this point in time is the Giratina V-Star, which can now evolve, can now be Mirage Gate onto, and take a knockout on this Chen Pao, but with no possibility to Roxanne Regan's huge hand away, you have to expect Regan will have the answer to it immediately.
Yeah, that's true. As we saw before, I mean, Regan did everything possible to prep this hand for the remainder of this game, taking the 2 prize cards off of that prize map and trying to chug along to a potential 2-0 here between these players. Ian Robb's going to do everything to stop that. Mirage Gate now coming out to get these 2 energy out of the deck and lined up onto this field for Ian Robb.
Yeah, also has the backup Giratina V, which is pretty nice to see and will be helpful in answering the next Chen Pao. So it's going to be a Chen Pao versus Giratina V V-Star exchange in the upcoming turns. After Regan takes a knockout, Ian will be able to Roxanne, so we might actually see that Sableye play to KO the B-Barrel and try to slow down Regan enough. But wow, that's a big Pokestop.
Yeah, big pile of cards to put in the discard pile, unfortunately, there for Ian Robb.
Ian actually chooses to take down the B-Barrel before, probably doesn't have Giratina V-Star in hand. That, I think the one currently was the prize card, so decides to eliminate the B-Barrel earlier. And then one was just discarded. Yeah.
Sheesh. Well, yeah, that was just a boss's orders to end that turn there. Boss up the, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the name?
The B-Barrel.
Yes, the B-Barrel. I just kept wanting to call it Bidoof. The B-Barrel to the active, knock it out, take that single prize card. And yeah, no Giratina V-Star there for Ian Robb. Regan Retzloff going to have a couple of discards there off that Pokestop roll as well.
Yeah, that second Bidoof getting discarded, but will probably be immediately put back with that Supra and then found. So not terrible, right? However, with no B-Barrel, Regan will be very susceptible to the incoming Roxanne.
Yep, and that could be bad here. You never want to get Roxanne's, but I mean, you always prepare for it, but you never truly can. It's only 2 cards that you're working with after that.
Yeah, and with no B-Barrel, it's going to get a little tricky to really recover from that.
Relying on some top decks here potentially for Regan. And that could be it. I mean, we could run out of that gas here, Pablo, potentially in the later part of this game. And there's always that potential there for Chen Pao.
Yeah, now, don't get me wrong, though. Like, Regan is probably getting Roxanne next turn, but the best time to get Roxanne is when your opponent still has 5 prizes left to go,
true.
Right? So then that's at least 3 more turns that you'll be able to have to top deck out of it, find more resources, maybe even establish the B-Barrel soon, and be able to just find that last 2 prizes. Yeah, Regan's about to go down to 2 prizes, and there is a Giratina already waiting in the back to potentially be KO'd.
Yep, and you could see that. I mean, the play has been impeccable from both these players so far, doing checking off every box that you'd want to see for these turns as much as they can, at least. Bidoof coming down here for Regan, prepping for the future turns here. Superior Energy Retrieval now being played.
Yep, need 4 energy to take down the Giratina V, which Superior Energy immediately provides. Establish an energy for a pivot on that Radiant Greninja, and then Regan Retzloff, 1 knockout away, essentially, from winning this game.
Not only winning, but taking a 2-0 potentially here, Pablo. The stakes are high here. Ian Robb going to start off with a Pokestop. 2 more cards to the discard pile.
Found Mirage Gate, which is pretty decent, but I don't think there's a lot of energies left in Ian's deck, unfortunately, at this point in time.
Now we have that V-Star as well here for Ian Robb, but yeah, taking a look at the Lost Zone as well as the discard pile to keep track of these energy that Ian Robb is working with. We have 1 on the active Giratina V-Star at the moment here. Pat to the peep, Pat to the to the peak is gonna bump that Pokestop there for Ian Robb. We're seeing the counter catcher here for this Bidoof and the Roxanne. Every single obstacle Ian Robb could potentially put in Regan's way, he has done so. And now that Roxanne is gonna limit Regan Retzloff, and that poor little baby Bidoof is sitting in the active position.
Yeah, staring down a gigantic Giratina V-Star.
I know,
like, that must feel
so
very scary. No. Ian's biggest obstacle right now, though, is finding energy. Yeah, because we might even see... No, there's no 10 cards in the Lost Zone, so we can't see a V-Star attack. Needs to find Super Rod plus Mirage Gate. Otherwise, that Bidoof will actually survive, and it does.
Oh my gosh, it survives.
The bravest Bidoof of them all, Boo.
The bravest. Oh, yeah. Couldn't get knocked out. Too busy gnawing on that log there. Regan Retzloff now. Ian Robb not able to get the energy needed to even knock this Bidoof. But yeah, now we have another turn for Regan Retzloff.
And it's going to be a passive turn for Regan as well.
Save it. Save that little Bidoof back onto the bench here. Spiritomb in the active position now. Ian Robb working with the Colress's Experiment.
Yep, that'll get to 10. No Super though. I don't see it.
Gosh.
So definitely running low on those energies. No way to switch out that Giratina V-Star either. So best time to get Roxanne is when your opponent is also not attacking you. So giving enough time to Regan to potentially reestablish some sort of board presence. Oh, does find the switch, but Ian really just doesn't want to use Comfey at all.
Yeah, that's true. Just taking the knockout here on the Spiritomb with that Cramorant. Lost Zone is now at 10 thanks to that Colress's Experiment as well for Ian Robb. We're back over to Regan. Regan's going to take a look at Ian Robb's resources. Get a little notate what's going on with Ian Robb and why the turns are going the way they are. I'm sure super aware of what's happening here. Radiant Greninja joining us now in the active position here for Regan. But really, yeah, what are the cards? I mean, just nothing to work with that Roxanne.
Yeah, nothing to work with. Roxanne definitely putting in the work right now.
Yes.
And we mentioned how Ian did price 3 energies, and he's definitely suffering that energy drought right about now.
Yep.
There is a Super Rod left, but if he grabs this Colress and then uses the Colress, then he doesn't have a deck anymore. So Ian definitely in a very precarious situation because the last Psychic is priced, and he just cannot find that Super Rod yet.
Yeah, I mean, Ian Robb losing on deck out is not something I put on my bingo card either.
Definitely no.
Oh my goodness.
Does choose to fail the Pokegear. He has Avery, but I don't think he'll even play the Avery at oh, he does. Okay.
Ooh, there we go.
Super Rod is the first card finally will be able to accomplish something. Probably want to use Sableye right now to take down this Bidoof if possible and set enough damage here. The Avery did discard the Qianbao as well. So yeah, Ian with a little bit of hope trying to figure out what's the best path to victory here.
Yeah.
Especially now that the Qianbao is off the table.
Yeah.
Now Ian will need 4 turns total, and there's 2 cards left in the deck, so it's gonna get a little dicey here.
It is going to get dicey indeed. Regan still working off the small hand here. I believe drew into a Battle VIP pass as well. Oh my goodness.
I think his hand is Baxcalibur, Battle VIP pass, Cross Switcher, and Qianbao. So 4 very good cards themselves, just not very good right now.
Yeah, not at this point in time. It's just going to be a pass back to Ian Robb.
Seems like Bidoof's efforts to survive that Giratina V-Star will be for nothing, Boo.
I know. Oh, so sad.
I wonder. Yeah, Super Rod, back the Psychics. We'll be able to get 1 out. Yep. Does Ian have an energy to retreat? I believe he does have a grass in hand to retreat and has exactly 3 turns to win this game.
This is like barely hanging in there. Pablo doing everything possible to hang in here and be able to take this game, and that is wild to see. I mean, Ian Robb showcasing his incredible amount of skill with this game. And
the math works out so perfectly for Ian. He had 2 damage counters on the Radiant Greninja, 6 on the Bidoof, that's 8, and then 4 left over on the 160 HP Baxcalibur, which can now be sniped by Sableye wherever it is. So Ian has, I think, three cards left in deck.
Yeah.
In 2 turns, he will be the winner of this game, despite Regan's incredible start.
Absolutely. That is wild. It was so dicey. Ian Robb has given us a show here, bringing us down to the brink of this deck.
Oh. I thought for a second there he had used concealed cards. I'm like, no, what are you doing? No, he just played Death Ball, checked his deck. All
shuffled
good.
Up 2 cards.
12 damage counters on the Baxcalibur, 1 prize away, and I don't believe there's any card that Regan can find. And we are heading to a game 3, Boo.
I cannot believe it. Ian Robb running away by, I mean, I guess, the seat of the... I mean, does Giratina even sit in a seat? Running away with that game. It was so close there, Pablo. Wow. I was on the edge of my seat there. Absolutely. And Robb able to take things down in this game.
Yeah, that was really, really interesting to see. It definitely felt really bad, but that was the key play. The boss's orders onto that Bibarel, followed by Regan taking the knockout, going down to 2 prizes, activating Roxanne, which Ian only had 1 left because of the Pokestop discarding 1, and then he was able to completely shut down everything that Regan was doing and win the game. What a comeback by Ian Robb.
I mean, I guess that showcases the power of Roxanne as well, leading it to that comeback. Just completely debilitated Regan Retzloff's draws. The Bidoof was never established into that Bibarel to help Regan Retzloff out in these later turns. And Ian Robb, with just 2 cards left in the deck, was able to take down Regan Retzloff in this game 2, bringing us to a game 3 between these players. Let's take a look at these prize cards.
One of the 2 Excalibur in Regan's deck prize, definitely not something you want to see because of the issue that there's no way to get it. Hisuian Heavy Ball can only get basic Pokemon, and yep, we're in our game 3, and now Ian did prize a few energies once again. Not ideal.
Yep, these players kicking things off here in this game 3. A little less than 9 minutes left on the clock as well for these players, so they're going to be moving quick here. Battle VIP pass starting things off, as well as 2 nest balls for Regan Retzloff here.
Yeah, off the races here for Regan. Fantastic setup, and you can see how now there's double Bidoof. Yeah, is that double the fun? I don't know, but double the safety to make sure that if one of them gets sniped, you are protected from that Roxanne. That's the ideal dream setup for Regan. Can't ask for much more.
Yeah, I love this from Regan. I mean, the board was so messy, not even taking the time to fix it until they pass over to Ian Robb. And yeah, that's great. Fully established bench here for Regan Retzloff, and the energy on the Champao EX getting that down. We're over onto Ian's side now, starting with the Radiant Greninja, as well as a Nest Ball.
Now, this is a game that makes me really sad that we don't have more time, Boo, to see conclude both of these extremely talented players in this quite decently close matchup, with a lot of decisions to be made. Really wish we could see, or I hope we get to see the conclusion, but we don't want to rush things or make any mistakes along the way. I don't want any of those sort of things to decide this game. I want to see clean play as much as we can.
Clean play indeed, Pablo. Both these players are going to move at a nice pace and hopefully still be piloting their deck to their full capabilities here. If there's any 2 players, I believe in both of them to do so.
Pokegear does find Colress very nicely for Ian, so
nice.
Yeah, we're seeing a much better setup and board for both players, that's for sure. And if this Colress allows Ian to potentially attack with Cramorant this turn, we could be in for a game that might actually finish. We'll see.
Yep, Colress's experiment here for Ian Robb. These top 5 cards, 2 gonna go into the Lost Zone.
Not the best cards, really. No way to find extra basic Pokemon on Battle VIP Pass or Nest Ball or even an extra Comfey. Did find a Giratina V, a Path to Peak, which can be useful. Mirage Gate, which you can maybe let go right now, but yeah, Ian really would have loved to see another Battle VIP Pass, or at least another Comfey. That would have been really good.
Well, the first Path to the Peak is now in play here from Ian Robb as well. Cramorant joining the field. Giratina V gonna jump into the active here with that Jet Energy. It's now on it as well, and we're going to see this Abyss Seeking here from the Giratina V. 4 cards in the Lost Zone now for Ian Robb. We're back to Regan Retzloff, instantly evolving into that Bibarel and bumping that Path to the Peak for a Pokestop.
I really like that play by Ian. It's risky, right? It does leave the Giratina V very susceptible, and then Ian doesn't have a way to knock out this Champao if Giratina V goes down, but this is a move that says, okay, this is what I need to do to win this game. If it doesn't work out, then I'm probably losing. But if it does work out, I'm going to get so much closer to winning, because the other alternative was go into the Convey, flower select, and then retreat, and then pass with 3 cards in a lost zone, which is a very awkward number. It doesn't really accomplish much. So I like this move by Ian. Regan's hand, though, is very explosive and probably will be able to take advantage of this.
Yeah, racing to that lost zone, trying to get it stacked up as much as possible. But Regan Retzloff is flying through these cards here. We're seeing the Irida now here from Regan to get that Earthen Vessel as well as the Bax Caliber for the turn.
Yeah, so I think there's no way we don't get a knockout on this Giratina V at this point. Enough energy, more than enough energy. Has the Rare Candy Bax Caliber already set up, and Regan's going to get really far ahead right now.
Yeah, but less than 5 minutes left for these players as well. You want to take these knockouts as soon as possible, and that's exactly what Regan is doing. Going to use that Hail Blade attack from that Chien-Pao EX, taking down the Giratina V. And those water energy are going to the discard here now. Ian Robb promoting that Comfey. Going to get stacked up a little bit more here for that lost zone.
Yeah, picture perfect draws and setup for Regan. Ian would have loved to have a backup Giratina to respond. Will be able to get to 7 cards in the lost zone right now, but that doesn't really help you too much if there's no Giratina V to respond to this Chien-Pao. Now, I will say, in a 2-for-2 price trade, Ian is probably always going to come out on the losing end, so he has to do something like last game. Has to eliminate this Peeperell, ideally also the Bidoof, and try to make Regan whiff enough turns for him to overcome and take down the game.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what's going to have to happen, Pablo. You have to debilitate your opponent and hope that you can rely on them whipping those cards so that you can then take the lead after losing it just a little bit. But, I mean, always having to work off piloting a comeback is not really where I want to be playing a deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just a harder position to be in.
Yeah, you always want to be the one in the lead, making your opponent struggle and make you, like, try to make you win rather than be on the other side of that very correctly.
Exactly. Well, that should be our 7 cards now into the lost zone, thanks to that flower selecting off the Comfey in the active position here for Ian Robb.
Yeah, now, with Manaphy being priced for Ian, benching another Comfey is definitely a big liability that Ian will probably not want to do. That's why we're going to see this Cramorant take a knockout. There are 7 cards now in the lost zone, so we also could have seen a Mirage Gate, Radiant Greninja attacking perhaps the Bibarel and the Frigibax. I definitely would not have minded seeing that, and then maybe trying to eliminate the Bax Caliber the turn after with a Shred from Giratina. Something along those lines would have been nice to see perhaps. And combined with Roxanne, that would have been pretty powerful, I think. Yeah,
putting some pressure on the board potentially here for Regan. But yeah, Ian Robb just going to hit with that Cramorant that was brought into the active with that Jet Energy. And Regan's turn now. We're getting through this. We're going to start with that Industrious Incisors here. And going to use that energy for that concealed cards as well off that Radiant Greninja. Superior Energy Retrieval, discarding Cross Switcher and Nest Ball to get 4 energy back out of the discard pile. We're seeing Regan just fly through these turns, taking another knockout here, going down to 3 prize cards left to take to win this game. Just under 2 minutes left for these players. Ian Robb's turn, going to take a quick look at Regan's discard pile and then has to promote a Pokemon here.
Yep, 1 minute, 30 seconds left on the clock. I'm sure both players are very aware of this. And Regan, if there's no 2-prize Pokemon getting benched, he's down to 3 prizes, so he will need 3 turns to win this game. And if he's turn 0 or turn 1, he's going to be 1 turn short from getting closer to that top 8 spot.
Yeah, which, you hate to see it, Pablo, when it ends up like that. But Ian Robb, we're going to see that Mirage Gate bringing out that Water Energy and the Grass Energy onto the Radiant Greninja here now.
Yep, and this Radiant Greninja play might be a little 1 turn too late, Boo, than we would have liked to see it. And now with double Bibarel established as well, that's really powerful. But wow, very good Pokestop right there.
Very good indeed. 3 cards added to the hand here for Ian Robb off that Pokestop. One of them going to be used right away, that Super Rod. recycling these Pokemon and energy back into the deck.
Yep, putting back that water. We might see even, like, I wouldn't mind seeing 90-90 onto these two. Follow that up by Sableye. But yeah, I think the clock's not going to allow us to see how this game would have finished up. With definitely, even though Regan is once again a commanding position, he's definitely vulnerable to that Roxanne plus Sableye play once again.
Yeah, that is true. You never know what's going to happen. Even if you're leading, there's always the potential for the comeback in a deck that plays Roxanne, and that's going to be it for these players. Oh, Pablo.
I know.
It's like, it feels like a cliffhanger now that we're standing on. Who knows? Maybe these players will potentially face off again, but it is going to be a tie for now in this match.